What's going on, everybody? D-Style here. Thanks to those joining me live and to those that'll be joining me on archive. I'm going to go over a couple things here. And in this video, I'm going to explain why I believe that the market in boxing is all messed up right now and why we can go all the way back and why I can blame HBO, DAZN, and ESPN for this issue. So if you're listening on archive, go ahead and press the like button. Make sure the like button does turn blue, and please stay here and listen to the video. And so you can kind of get an understanding of what I'm going to touch on here. All right, I think that's really important. Personally. Look, if you guys remember what's going on, wheelchair man John on here. There was a time when I believe anyway, as corrupt as it's been and all the belts that we've had and all the issues that boxing has had, there was a time where I believe there was a better structure, which still had room for improvement, but nonetheless, it was a better structure than we have now. You know what I mean? It was a better structure. And now we have an inferior structure, is what we have right now. And I'm going to kind of go over with you here, and it's things you guys are familiar with, and I'm going to explain why some of the fights right now are so difficult to make and why there's so many issues and so many fighters threatening to pull out of fights and what kind of created this type of culture. If you're familiar with courts, especially the Supreme Court, there's a thing called precedent. And if you lead something to the wrong precedent, it can cause a series of issues. It can have a negative domino effect down the line, negative consequences, even if they're unintended consequences. But you have to try to survey the landscape and have an understanding of what's going to happen. So let's start with HBO. Or first, what's going on? Reggie Owens on here. I'm going to start with this. If you go back, the way it was structured, a fighter turned pro. If a fighter had like the better amateur pedigree they had, the better contract they got, more than likely. If you're an Olympic gold medalist, you're going to more than likely get a better contract than somebody that is not an Olympic gold medalist, right? If you're not an Olympic medalist of any kind, if you're not even an Olympian, you're more than likely to get an inferior contract than otherwise. Not always the case, but not everything is absolute. But for the most part, that's the way it kind of works. So your amateur career kind of, just like it is in other sports, the higher you're drafted in your draft class in the NFL, NBA, baseball, more than likely the more money you're going to get. I mean, that's just the way it is. So you're signed with a promoter and you start your career. When it's time to renegotiate your next contract, you have options as a fighter. You can move on to another promoter. You can change managers. You could do all types of things. But what's going to dictate how your next contract's going to look, especially when you're still a prospect, is usually, sometimes they base it a little bit off potential, which I kind of have an issue with. You can always look at Michael Jordan when he talks about basketball players or athletes getting paid off of potential before they've even done anything and why that's problematic. What's going on, Renee Box Young? How you doing? So, but leaving that aside, what dictates early on in your career, I just wanted to preface it with how things start when you're signed. What dictates it is how you sell, in those club shows, how many butts you put in seats. After X amount of shows, they notice when this guy's on the card, X amount of extra people come. Like there's just more people that come to see him fight. After his fights, people leave the arena or the club show, whatever it is. That's what dictates early on, like that's what dictates for the most part how much money you're going to make. And the way it was structured before, depending on which promoter you had, from there you went on and you from getting paid that, you eventually got on Telemundo or Box Azteca or something like that. And since that's a TV deal, you got a little extra money. All right? You made more money than before it was on TV. Now, all those numbers are open. So if you have a deal where you get a percentage off of the marketing, whatever it is, the numbers are there. They're verifiable. And then, you could get on Friday night fights or Tuesday night fights from back in the day, where a lot of prospects and, a lot of, veteran fighters, former champions fight prospects, and prospect versus prospect, and C-level fighter versus C-level fighter, up and comers. You got on that Friday night fight scene. And since that got a little more of an audience, you would get a little more money. And depending on how the ratings looked, Friday night fights would keep calling you back. You keep getting fights. Hey, we want to see this guy again. Our ratings were good when he was on. And then you could structure a contract based on that. Yet something you can verify the numbers with. And then you got the call, hey, Showbox wants you on. So then now that's a step up. Now you're going to make more money because that's Showbox. That's premium television, Showtime. A little higher level of competition. Like the cream of the crop prospects are on there. Tougher test, whatever it is. Hey, you know what? HBO Boxing After Dark wants you on. Now we're talking about potential title fights. Number one, mandatories and all that type of stuff. Better competition. Now that's the next level up. You make more money since you're on that next level up. Again, the ratings are verifiable, so you can verify these things and your structure, how you're getting paid, along with the gate still, of course. That's something you can look at. And then after Boxing After Dark, hey, we want you in the undercard of this World Championship boxing event. Okay, then you start getting on that. That's the next level up. Now you're defending your belt, and or maybe it's just a higher profile mandatory, whatever it is. And then you're going to headline World Championship Boxing. Now you're the headliner. And all these things are verifiable. You can look at these things and say, I'm worth this much because look at what I bring to the table. Look at the ratings, look at the people that tune in. That's the key word, verifiable. And then once you kind of hit a ceiling, like, man, this is just World Championship Boxing ain't going to pay you more. Like, you've kind of hit a ceiling here. Well, now it's time to go pay-per-view. And that's how it was. Once Mayweather was ready to go on pay-per-view, he went on pay-per-view against Arturo Gatti. He even let Arturo Gatti have the slight lion's share in that fight. But nonetheless, he got on the pay-per-view scene, and it set him up to make even more money. Then he fought Judah. Then he fought Baltimore. Then he fought De La Hoya. And you know what dictated the fact that Mayweather was going to make more and more money? The fact that he was selling more and more pay-per-view. That's why he was making more against De La Hoya than he did against Baltimore. And then once he started doing over $1 million without De La Hoya, he was even making more money. That dictated that. And you could do the same with Manny Pacquiao. Same path. World Championship Boxing, then they put him on pay-per-view. Same exact damn path. Now, not everyone was able to get to the pay-per-view scene as a headliner anyway. Right? Some did. Cotto was able to. It just depended who you are, but the market structure was there. I don't care what anybody said. It wasn't perfect, but it was there. There was structure. There was a path. You ever play video games and you go on career mode or something like that? If they made a boxing game with career mode, the way they used to have it would make perfect sense. You would start in the underground, and you know what I mean. You would go fight on the club scene, then you would go on Telemundo, Azteca, maybe across the pond, and then you would go on Friday Night Fights, and then boxing after dark, show boxing, and World Championship Boxing, then on pay-per-view, then a mega pay-per-view. There is structure to that. And since there was structure, you couldn't just be like, hey, we're going to give you $30 million to fight a nobody. Well, no one's going to buy it. And no one's going to buy it, then no one's going to pay you that. Now, it's all fucked up. All of it. I know you guys are posting comments. I'm just kind of going over like everything I want to go through here. For anybody listening on archive. So, I appreciate you guys there. I see you guys. The way it is now is not like that anymore. They don't have that structure for the most part. HBO started this because they started doing what? They started paying guys based off of their quote-unquote potential. Okay? They thought Andre Berto had potential. No one's saying he didn't have potential, but they were paying him for the potential already, and that started setting a precedent for the future. Jab my like button. Bruce goes. How's it going? Make sure you guys jab my like button. Andre Berto was fighting in bingo halls and small casinos, and there were still empty seats. He was getting abysmal ratings on HBO. And they were already paying him over $1 million to fight nobodies. Now, I don't want to pick on Andre Berto, but that's an example. So they started overpaying guys, and that started a trend in the market. I want fighters to get paid too. But if you start overpaying one guy, all right, the money's fight night. So what that means, there's only so much money in your budget, HBO. So if you overpay one guy, a bunch of other guys aren't getting paid. So I appreciate the whole these guys got to put food on the table. Other fighters got to put food on the table. Other fighters are selling putting more butts and seats in Andre Berto, and they weren't getting paid that money. He's just the one guy I kind of picked, okay? And I'm not blaming Andre Berto. What is he supposed to say? Say no to $1 million? No. I would have taken the $1 million too. Shit. I would have taken the money as well. All right? I'm not blaming the fighters at all here. I'd take the money too. Shit. And so somebody overpaid you for your job. You're going to say no? Hell no. If somebody paid you 10 times more than what you're making now at your job, are you going to say no? Absolutely not. You're going to say yes, and so would I. All right? The fighters are supposed to negotiate for as much money as possible. So I'm not blaming them at all. I'm blaming the networks here. Eventually, HBO's budget didn't justify, all right, the ratings that we're getting for over a decade. New management or new ownership came in, and they said, why the fuck are we spending so much on this shit? We can do like 5-6 series that are going to get like 4 or 5 times the ratings, okay, with this money we're spending on this boxing thing. Like, why are you paying this dude $1 million to fight? Like, he's only getting like 200,000 viewers and shit. Well, what are we doing? Okay? So that's why they got rid, okay, of boxing on HBO, right? That's just a fact. AT&T bought it, okay? They just didn't want anything to do with boxing. That's why they got rid of it. That's the fact. Anybody who says otherwise does not know what they're talking about. Okay? I just know this. But putting that aside, DAZN comes in. DAZN comes in and fucks everything up even more. Okay? They come in and they just start making it rain on these fighters. Like making it rain. I thought for a moment, I thought Triple G was on a pole or something with a bikini. I know it's a horrible sight. And Eddie Hearn was out there with the DAZN guys just making it rain. All right? The Canelo deal was one thing. At least Canelo was a proven pay-per-view commodity to a certain degree. All right? Now, where they kind of overdid it was Canelo was a proven commodity, but he needed a good dance partner. It's not like he was going to sell against, like he wasn't going to do a Rocky Fielding pay-per-view because that wouldn't sell under the old structure. That fight would have never happened, not on pay-per-view. It would have just been on HBO or something. All right. They start throwing money around. They overpay for Triple G versus Rose. They overpay for Rocky Fielding Canelo. Okay, they overpay for a bunch of fights. Overpay. All right? Like they just did. Eddie Hearn comes out talking about he's got $1 billion to spend and like just come over here, pay-per-view's dead and only $9.99 and look, you got to be a fool if you think you're going to pay less for boxing and boxers are going to make more money. You got to be a fool, all right? Like if you just smell that a mile away, I don't know what to tell you. Now, am I mad at the fighters? Absolutely not. I'm not going to be mad. I'm not going to be mad at Triple G for the money he made fighting Steve Rose. Why am I going to be mad at Triple G? Of course he took all that money to fight Steve Rose. Are you kidding me? Of course he did. He would have been a fool if he didn't. Like, nah, I need a tougher opponent for you to give me that money. You're thinking no fighter on planet Earth is going to say that. Okay? I don't give a shit what they say. I don't care if it's your favorite fighter. No fighter on planet Earth would have said no to that amount of money to fight a dude at the level of Steve Rose. Not one. Not one. I don't give a shit who it is. Put his name out there. He would have done it. She would have done it, whoever it is. They start overpaying all these fighters, and then they're shocked when Canelo's like, hey, I'll fight Alfredo Angulo. Hey, all of a sudden, DAZN is shocked that Canelo wants some easy touches for the same amount of money that he made fighting like a Danny Jacobs. All right? All of a sudden, they're in shock. Like, hey, but we gave you a freebie. I mean, like, against Rocky Fielding. Now you got to fight like a bunch of dudes. And then they overpay Kovalev. They pay Kovalev like $12 million or something ridiculous like that. And now they're shocked that other fighters are like saying no to like $2 million or whatever it is that they're offering. Okay. You fuck up the market like that, and now you're in shock. Now you can't believe it. Now you're like, what the hell? Are you kidding me? Are you for real right now? You fucked up the market. All right? That's what you did. You ran up the credit card. Now you have debt, all right, with interest. And like you want these fighters to start paying your debt off. That's what's going on right now. That's exactly what happened. ESPN. They wanted an opponent for Crawford. So ESPN had $7 million to offer somebody, and they offered it to Errol Spence. No. They offered it to Keith Thurman. No. They offered it to Sean. No. They offered it to Amir Khan. They offered Amir Khan multi-million dude. Amir Khan. They offered him multi-millions. That's the most expensive chandelier I've ever seen anyone pay for. All right? Andrew Charles, how's it going? That was the most expensive chandelier I've ever seen anybody pay for. It wasn't even worth it. Didn't even sell. So they gave all that money to Amir Khan, who obviously, guys, wasn't worth that money. Look at what that pay-per-view made. Plus, you had to pay Crawford on top of that. And the undercard and the promotion. Like, are you kidding me? They lost money. They lost money in that fight. And that's not the only people that they overpaid for. So now you guys are shocked? DAZN. They decide we're going to pay some YouTubers a cool $1 million each to fight. And we're going to put Devin Haney on the undercard. A cool $1 million. $1 million. $1 million. Plus, I don't know what they got, in other things. Like if depend on how many buys, the gate, I don't know. But at the end of the day, and now everyone's shocked. They're wondering what's going on. Why are these fighters agreeing to fights? And then, like, from one day to the next, so-and-so wants more money. Ryan Garcia is asking for more money. Teofimo Lopez is asking for more money. Amanda Serrano wants more money. Adrian Broner wants $10 million to come back and fight anybody. I mean, you're surprised? Now, there's always been, cases where fighters overprice themselves, price themselves out, but a lot of these things were verifiable. Ryan Garcia has nothing to show for why he should make more than $200,000. Not accomplishment-wise. Not that. He has nothing to show for that. I didn't see the arena buzzing when he fought Duno, right, before the Canelo fight. So I don't understand what he's basing this out of, other than, hey, I got a Facebook following. I got an Instagram following. I have a Twitter following. I have a YouTube channel. And I have more followers than all the other fighters on Golden Boy. So I should be making more than any other fighter on Golden Boy. That's what's going on right now. There's no structure. While you do have the boxing on Televisa and all that, you do, it kind of stops there. You still have the club scene. You still have your, small-time promoters and, local promoters putting on boxing cards. But once you hit the TV level where the big money really starts to hit, once you start getting there, what structure is there? There's no Friday night fights. We have ShowBox, but in all reality, man, like it's like very random how they use ShowBox now. They don't really use it like they used to. They might put some prospects here and there, but there's no real, way to gauge anything anymore. Like Top Rank just had some cards, and you couldn't even tell, is this cards for undercard fighters? Is it for prospects? Is it for big names? Is it both? Is it, It's just that there's no structure. DAZN. There's no structure. Like you'll have a matchroom card, you'll have like some prospects there, and then you'll have like a main event, you know what I mean? And then you have like another, Golden Boy card with like higher profile fighters at each stateside. Then you'll have other cards where it looks like a bunch of club fighters. I mean, there's no structure. Like there's no set like area where you could say, yeah, this is the next level up on the zone. Like, is it the next level up on the zone on Saturday night rather than Friday? Like they have nothing structured. There's no like HBO at least had Boxing After Dark and then World Championship Boxing. They don't have anything like that at all. It's random now. Like now you'll see a prospect on the undercard of a pay-per-view, and then you'll see them like, headlining on Showtime, and then you'll see them on the undercard of of a Fox card, and then they'll be like you know what I mean? Like they'll be on the undercard of a Showtime card all of a sudden. Like it's just random now. There's no structure. There's no structure on the zone. There's no structure. Where is the structure? There is none. It's very limited. It's very limited. When you tune into a card now, you just don't, unless you look ahead of time and you know boxing and you know this guy's a prospect, you know this guy's this, you know this is a mandatory, kind of like you have to like be in the know. You have to be a hardcore boxing fan like we are. But just your average person, and that's what you have to put yourself in the shoes of. Because even your casual fan understood, like when they were watching Friday night fights on ESPN, they understood what that was. Like they got it. They knew, okay, I'm not going to get, the best of the best fighting the best of the best here. Like they knew that. It was understood. Once in a while, they give you a main event. It was pretty good, but for the most part, they understood. They understood the difference between Boxing After Dark and World Championship Boxing, and and pay-per-view. They understood. There was an understanding that this guy's on pay-per-view now. This is his coming out party. They understood that. The only good thing about the pay-per-views coming out now, I mean, of course, none of us want to pay in an era where you're paying $5.99 for ESPN Plus and $9.99 or whatever it is for the Zone. It's $19.99 now, but of course, people don't just want to pay, but it is appropriate that the Charlos now and the biggest fights of their careers are on pay-per-view. Because at the very least, there's that understanding. Whether you think it should be pay-per-view or not is irrelevant. But at least you have an understanding. Like at least the ones they put on pay-per-view, you kind of get a sense that they're kind of marketing that as those are the biggest fights of name recognition and value. To me, there has to be a structure again. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean they got to go the pay-per-view route, right? But there has to be some structure. And we don't have structure right now. The market is all fucked up right now. We have fighters and we have fans engaging in conversations now that I just don't believe as fans we should be engaging in. Right? So, Teofimo Lopez and Vasyl Lomachenko was a fight that ESPN announced. Teofimo Lopez is obviously trying to negotiate for more money. Am I mad at Teofimo Lopez? No, I'm not. Because if you keep showing fighters that this works, they're going to do it. Ryan Garcia, pulled out. He cried. He took out his rattle, and he had a fit. And they went ahead. They kissed, and they made up, and they gave him a brand new contract. And Ryan went on social media and bragged about how it was the biggest contract in the history of prospects, and this, that, and the third, just about 10 months ago. So now he's doing it again. He already agreed to the current contract that he has, but he's like, you know what? It worked before. I'm going to do it again. I'm going to threaten to not show up. I'm going to hold this app and my promoter ransom, okay, to give me more money. Like that's, do I blame him for doing it? No, because you enabled this behavior. So I'm not going to get mad at anybody for trying to get more money. All right? I'm not going to get mad at Teofimo Lopez for trying to get more money. I ain't going to do it. Because I'm telling you, more than likely the fight's going to happen. He's going to get a couple 100,000 more, and that's more fucking money. That's like buying a pretty decent house money. All right? That's like buying a couple cars money. So that's why he's doing what he's doing. Now you got to hold up, because I'm going to go full circle with this. So I don't blame Teofimo Lopez or Ryan Garcia or any fighter that starts, playing hardball and holding their own promoters and their own networks hostage, or not hostage, but for ransom, okay? Because they know it's a tactic that works. They have the presupposition that these networks have money to spend. Hey, DAZN, you said you had $1 billion, freaking budget. You got the money. Hey, Top Rank, you got the money. I mean, you paid Amir Khan. You paid Amir Khan like $7 million to fight Crawford. Why shouldn't I get more money? Why do I have to settle for $2 million? Hey, DAZN, you paid Kovalev like $12 million when he's not that type of draw. I'm a bigger draw. Why are you only offering me, $500,000? I should be getting more money. This is what happens when you fuck up the market. So now you're in a situation where everything's at a standstill. And they're in a negotiating standstill. That's what's happening right now. This was naturally going to happen. All right? You set the precedent, so now fighters are taking advantage of it. And now everybody wants to act shocked? Like, I get that Bob Arum doesn't want to lose money on Teofimo Lopez just because Teofimo Lopez feels, he's worth more money. But Bob, I mean, you lost money on Amir Khan by the looks of it. So now that's something people could say. You set that precedent. Same with DAZN. They messed up the market. So now, how does that impact us? The reason I care and the reason I'm talking about it is because we're not getting our fights. As a fight fan, I want my fights. As a fight fan, I want these motherfuckers to fight each other. So I see this standstill, and I see like I'm gonna shock a lot of you guys, but DAZN and Top Rank, ESPN, whatever you want to say, Golden Boy, okay, I'm just gonna say this. Them standing firm and saying, no, you're gonna, we're gonna play hardball here. We're not just gonna say yes to what you want. In the long run's for the best, right? Because if they did what I hear a lot of you guys saying they should do, it's going to do what? Set a bad precedent, right? So every fighter, every manager, every publicist, you name it, is watching everyone like a hawk. Like they're watching these situations like a hawk, okay? If they see, hey, did you see how Teofimo Lopez agreed to the fight and then he pulled out and said, give me more money or I ain't going to fight? and like Arum gave him money right away, give him like another $2 million, just like that. What the fuck you think the next fight is gonna do? What do you think they're gonna do? As soon as they get a chance, right? If they see, hey, look, did you see how they gave Adrian Broner $10 million? Yeah, I saw that. Yeah. Fuck it. Let's start asking for more, right? You know how many fighters are going to pull out of their fights as soon as they see an Adrian Broner get $10 million to fight Prograis? That fight's not worth that much. Come on, cut it out, okay? Like it's just this whole like just pay him his money. It's just not worth that much. Just because the zone, can pay for it, just because Arum can pay for it, just because they could afford it, it doesn't mean it's the right thing to do, because it's going to set bad precedents that we just don't need. The reason the UFC is popping right now, okay, the reason they have very little trouble making a lot of fights happen is because they got these motherfuckers in contracts. They already agreed to the money they're going to make. And once in a while, they'll have a rift with a guy or two and they'll work it out in a week or two. Once in a while, a couple of them leave the company. But for the most part, 95% of the time, they have absolutely no issues. Okay. Now, I have my own issues with the UFC, but my point is they're not having this problem at this high degree. And as a fight fan, I don't want this sport to become, a negotiating game all the time. Like guys already agreed to the fight, and then they pull out and they're demanding more money, and like how annoying that is. A message needs to be sent. Hey, yeah, you agree to fight, just fucking fight. All right? If you want to negotiate, okay, that's fine. Negotiate. But this whole fights are being announced, and all of a sudden, guys feel some type of way and they want more money. And what's going on in Stormy B, man? I see you. I'm not really looking. I'm going to go over the chat in a little bit, guys, but I just hope you guys understand how fucked up all this is. Here's a reality. Lomachenko's making less than he usually does. Regardless how you feel, I don't think he's worth this, and it doesn't matter what we think. He's making less now because of the pandemic. All right? That's just the truth. Reports right now show that he's going to take another pay cut so Teofimo Lopez could, get more money. If that's true, then Teofimo's got to take it, dude. What should we do as fans? We should continue to say that we want these fucking fights. That's what we should do. Hey, I see a dispute. Give us our fucking fight. That's not saying, hey, just give him his money, because that's a message to all of them, including Teofimo Lopez. Fight the man already. I want to see the fight. So, at the end of the day, we have a very, very, problematic issue right now with fighters wanting to just because, you know how much potential I got, and you have fans out here saying, Teofimo should leave Top Rank and this and the third. And at the end of the day, man, you cannot just whole shit ransom just because you feel you want more. Not in my opinion. The reality is, there is no gate, so you have to be realistic in terms of what you're going to make, right? And Teofimo Lopez and Lomachenko has made more money than you in his last 5-6 fights or ever than you have. So of course he's going to make more. All right, it's just that's common sense. We can debate how much more, But it starts getting dangerous when fans start siding with fighters and or anybody. Let the fighters and their managers work all that out with the promoter. Okay? Let them work it out. Teofimo Lopez is negotiating for more money, whatever. I'm expecting that fight to happen at the end of the day. I'm not going to demand that they give him more money or, I'm not going to demand the other way. I'm just going to say I want to see that fight. That's our role as boxing fans. Our role as boxing fans is to demand, okay? If enough people say there's enough uproar about us just wanting to see the fight, not siding with a fighter or, no, just wanting to see a fight, that's going to have a better impact on making fights than being fanboys for fighters. Okay? Why? Because they're going to see, and you know what? There's a high demand for this fight to happen. Maybe Teofimo Lopez is worth more for this fight than we previously thought. Look how many people are demanding this fight to happen. We never had this type of demand for a Lomachenko fight ever. Maybe we should, offer him a little more money. It's going to have a better effect if you just demand that the fight happens. Okay? It's time to be fans again. You know what I never heard my uncles talk about when I grew up watching boxing? I never heard them talk about, did you see Don King only offered Chavez this much money and Whitaker only offered $10 million for the rematch and Chavez is worth more and you should offer him more, and like they never talked about all that. All right? If they wanted to see a fight, they just talked about the fight they want to see and who they think would win that fight. We need to get back to that. It's that simple. We need to get back to that. We need to get back to just saying, I want to see this guy versus this guy. Doesn't matter which promotion they're with. It doesn't matter what network they fight on, what app they fight on. It's just, I want to see this guy versus this guy. An economy works with supply and demand. We're the demand. I don't know if you guys know this. Boxing fans are the demand. Start demanding fights. All right? If they see that fans want to see a particular fight, it's more likely to happen. If all you're doing is always siding with your fighter and being fanboys, shit doesn't get done. Okay? That's right, Bruce goes. Right now, we the fans are starving for a top quality fight. And they know we'll pay, absolutely. What's going on, Stormy Man? How you doing? He says, salute to D-Style in the chat. Gasonteo Mita, the devil is in the details with contracts, not just in boxing, but in corporate America. And you know what? As fans, we need to stay away from the devil in the details, in my opinion, is what we need to do. Too many fans coming out and just like, siding with what fighter is saying. And man, let me tell you something. We need to chill out with that. So tell me that I counted PBC's fight events in 2019. I came up with 37 televised cards and 2 using TGB, Marguelas, promotions, etc. That semi-structured my opinion, then COVID hit. Well, you notice, Sonteo, that I don't have PBC on the title. That's for a reason. Now, PBC isn't perfect, right? Like, they're not. Like I've had a lot of criticism about PBC. But the truth is, when fighters want to start making a little more money in PBC, they start putting them on pay-per-view. Okay? Like, it's, at least from what I'm looking at least that's what they're doing now. So if you've noticed, now I already know people are gonna go, "Oh, you're just a PBC fanboy." Like, people are gonna say what they want to say. Okay. But I have my criticism of PBC. I've criticized some of their cards. I've gone in on them before. NYY Mech says, also salute DStyle. Absolutely. He says, in negotiations and purses were kept private, the so-called fans and family will not be talking about it. I actually do believe that they should be kept private. That's what I believe. What's going on, Apple Type? Look, don't get me wrong. Like when people say fans never talked about the gate, and that's not true. Okay. Right. Jack Dempsey, in the first $1 million gate, people talked about it. You know what I mean? Like it was a thing. You know what I mean? Like every time a new gate was broken or something, they talked about it. Anytime a pay-per-view did so much, of course, hey, look, this pay-per-view did over 1 million. People, they've always talked about those things. You know what I mean? And after the pay-per-view fight, they'll be like, man, look at what so-and-so made based on the pay-per-view buys. They talked about it. Right? That, in a way, gave boxing a lot of prestige, and it still kind of does, especially in combat sports, on what the fighters make. But oh boy, is it getting out of hand. And I come full circle with you on a quote from Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan said, in terms of basketball, but I think it's appropriate for all sports, that everything he got, he felt like he earned. Like you have to earn, everything he got. He went to college and everything, and they didn't really want to. Nike's the one, company that gave him a shot for the sneakers. They gave him a shot for that, and he blew that up, and the Jordan brand became big, and he was very loyal to them. You know what I mean? But now he feels like they just pick a basketball player, and they just give him a shoe before he has a game and shit, before he does anything, and they base it off potential and a clothing line, and he's going to be big and all that, and you still see it today. You know what I mean? Fanboys of fighters, I always hear say shit like this. Tell me you haven't heard this, okay? And don't lie, right? Man, I believe in him, man. But he's going to make it big. And when he does, I don't want any of you jumping on the train because you weren't supporting him from day one. This whole supporting from day one. All right? Which is usually a bunch of horseshit, by the way. Right? A lot of you jump when the dude's already like an established champion or something. But anyway. There's people that just want to see the data come in. All right. There's people that just want to see it actually happen before they, believe. It's okay to wait for the data to come in, guys. All right. Now you can project like I do. I project that in the future, I believe Virgil Ortiz is going to be a hell of a fighter. I'm basing this out of what he's done to Mauricio Herrera, Orozco. You know what I mean? That's what I'm basing it out of. That's what I base it out. I have some evidence for it. But now, like, everyone has this, expectation that they should pay him what he wants. He's going to be a big star in the future. Just give him the money. Like, well, what do you guys mean? Like, what are you guys talking about? If you guys are so confident in some of these dudes, right, why do you go take out a loan and you invest in them? If you're so confident on certain fighters, right? Just give him the extra 200,000. He's worth it. Okay, well, why don't you go take out a loan? Okay. Well, why don't you take out a mortgage loan and invest it in this fighter since you're so confident? Okay, you know for a fact that this guy's going to be the future, right? Why do you do it? No, but these style. I mean, these guys got the money. Like just because they got the money doesn't mean like. Look, if you overpay one guy, 200,000 more, and you got a roster of 100 fighters, and they all want a 200,000 more all of a sudden just because you got it. I mean, just add it up. Just add that money up. And money will run out really quick. There's a reason these people got money, but they don't just fucking spend it and shit. Okay, that's why they got money. Always rose to the challenges laid before him, did Michael Jordan to Stormy B-Man. Yeah, Apple type. I actually did think about Andy immediately after that. All right. I'm going to do an open forum if anybody wants to jump on, by all means. And you guys can agree with me, disagree with me. You guys know me, man. I don't take any of this shit personal. You know what I mean? Wait a minute. That's not even. Hold on. That's the link to the video. What am I doing? Hold on. Bruce Go, I just read Roberto Duran autobiography, and he made 1.5 million for the first Leonard fight. Leonard between 10 to 13 million. That would never go today, but Duran was different kind of animal. Plus 1.5. I mean, dude, that is a lot of money, bro. Holy shit. Let me bring up the calculator here for the inflation. Let me bring it up. We're going to go with 1980. All right. Inflation calculator. All right. We're going to do it. So 1980. 1.1500, comma 00. All right. 1,500, comma. That is 3.13 million today. That's how much it is today. 3.13 million is what Duran made. If Leonard made, let's just say 10 million. Let's just do 10 million. Right? That's $31.2 million, and that's if it was the 10. That's how much money Ray Leonard made. Plus, Ray Leonard was doing commercials and shit, bro. That dude had sponsors, and Ray Leonard was making money, bro. Okay, let me just tell you guys right now. Okay, if you factor in inflation, he made 31 million, bro. That's a lot of money, but there was not an issue. Duran got 8, and then Leonard made 7. Okay, in the rematch, why? He won it, and, it is what it is, You want to avenge your loss, you got to pay for it a little bit. Absolutely, Big Dog Willie. Win, lose, or draw, Ali and Jordan was going to do their best. Absolutely. Absolutely. Let me just show you guys how I do it. So, there's a website called U.S. Inflation Calculator, all right? They can go to, and it'll do it for you. You know what I mean? It'll do it for you. Check it out. Y'all shy or what? I don't know. Nobody wants to jump on? Everybody just scared to jump on or some shit or what? What's going on? So he made a good amount of money, bro. Like Leonard made, it's pretty good. Yeah, that's a lot of money. So it's a lot of moolah. It's a lot of moolah right there. That's right. You know what I mean? Like, check it out. Trying to think, what's a fight? How much did Tyson in? How much did Douglas make in the Holyfield rematch? Was it like 21 million, something like that? Hold on, check it out. Man, 24 million. I was out by 3 million. Okay. God damn. Check it out. 25. Well, 24. It was 24. Well, let's say 25. All right. I want you guys to look at this. Just look at this, okay? Check it out. Let me put it here. Give me a second. Man, dude, look at this. So Douglas today, that is a $49,310,000 payday that he got. Almost $50 million for that Holyfield fight. If you factor in inflation, that's how much it would be worth today. Okay. That's amazing. That's crazy. That's a lot of money. It really is. Like, when people say, "Oh, fighters are making more than ever," like, well, you got to factor in inflation, though. You know what I mean? You got to factor it in a little bit. I think a lot of fighters that haven't proven shit are making more money than ever. I'll give you that all day. Right? All day, every day. Shout out to Ringside Report, aka Beeb. Skinny Kenny says, I will do $300K loan for Lopez if I get 10% of his events for the next 5 years. That's fair, right? Yeah, I mean, shit. You know what I mean? But damn, are you really going to do that? I don't think you do that. Tyson got 31 million in 96. Wow. Damn, bro. Damn. A little more than Douglas. A little more. Factor in it's a little more. It's a lot of money, bro. God damn. That is crazy. It really is. Look at that, guys. That's amazing. You have to really think about that. Like that's just imagine like Tyson Fury and Wilder making 50 million for their like that's insane. It honestly is. Wow. Man, oh man. So for those that don't understand inflation, right? The prices of goods go up, so the value of the dollar goes down pretty much. You know what I mean? Because they're printing out more and more money. All right. So when people say, I mean, just print the money. I mean, what's the big deal? Well, the more money the U.S. government prints out, whatever money you have in your bank account loses value. Okay. So if you have a 401k, you have $300,000 in there, right? If they keep printing out money, every dollar you have loses value. You know what I mean? It's just the way it is. That's why, when they say, hey, you got to raise the minimum wage, that's because inflation's going up, and wages are stagnant. So now things are costing almost double what they used to cost, but your wages are the same. So in essence, you're actually making half of what you used to make. Pretty much. You know what I mean? We got Big Dog Willie on here. What's going on, Big Dog?
What's happening?
I'm just chopping it up here. What do you think of? I don't know.
We
What's
were
on your mind?
talking about people's boxers' salaries and what they can negotiate. And
Yeah.
I think nowadays that a lot of boxers are, I would say, the majority of boxers, if you have an inkling of any talent, they want to get paid for not losing the O, not for defending it, for not losing it.
Right. Right.
So, like, I can see Lopez, who doesn't he even have a belt? I don't think he even has a belt. He said, if
Yeah. I
I'm going
beat.
to fight,
He beat Comey for the belt. Yeah.
okay, what was it?
Last
WBO
fight.
or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So I think he's defending, like, if you want me to be better, you have to pay me more. Instead of
Right.
him beating Lomachenko to be better, you have to pay me to be better. And I don't
Yeah.
understand that. It's like an insurance on losing.
Kind of right. And it does kind of come off like, hey, I'm never going to get this payday again, so I'm going to take advantage of it now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And look again. I'm not mad at the guy for trying to get more money. You know what I
No, near
mean?
am I. Near am
Yeah.
I.
Um. So I would never like just be like, like they want more money or whatever. But at the end of the day, sometimes you have to call a spade a spade. Like I see what you're doing. You know,
But it's becoming a trend, and
it
and
is. Yeah.
and like it's gonna be like somebody like who has 10 wins and 10 knockouts, but you fight nobody going to demand like a $2 million purse.
Right. Hey, look, everything has there's consequences for everything, right? If Top Rank just says, oh, "Okay, we'll just give you 2 million more," right? Like whenever the next fight, first of all, who's to say Lomachenko's not going to be like, "Whoa, whoa, 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 whoa," then I should get more too. That's number one, right?
Yeah.
But on top of that, even if he doesn't, other fighters are going to want more money in the future. You know what I mean? If they see this, the reason this is happening now is because of the amount of money they paid Amir Khan at ESPN to fight Crawford, like $7 million. Like that's ridiculous. You know what I mean? And then they
Yeah.
paid Kovalev $12 million to fight Canelo, and they're surprised that dudes are turning down $3-4 million paydays. Like why are you surprised? They saw what you paid Kovalev. You know what I mean? Like it's you set the precedent moving forward.
Well, when you're trying to hype up a fighter, you pay the opponent, which is supposedly maybe a good fighter in the past, or they have like some kind of legacy to the name, like a Khan who been in the game for a long time, or a Kovalev who went, with ward and beat,
Right.
such and such and such and such. Um, you're gonna pay them more to cement a Canelo or a Crawford's legacy, which I think is
Right.
wrong. That they should just beat their asses just in general. They shouldn't have to pay somebody to fight. I mean, I don't know. If I was Kovalev, I would I fight this guy because I want to get my belt back, or I want to fight this guy because I want to prove I'm the best. This guy took money to lay down.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, there's something that they got to do here, man. I feel like for the long term stability of the sport, I hate to say this, but I think now they caused the issue, so I'm not giving them 100% credit. Like it's like they're fixing their own mess. But I do feel like, yeah, like it's the fact that they're standing their ground and saying, "Nah, you're going to take what we offered you, or what you agreed to initially, and that's it." It's for the best. We cannot have this cannot be a continued trend because as a boxing fan, it's stopping the fights I want to see happen from happening. You know, and then fans need to understand if fighters want to make more money, then we as fans are going to have to fork out more money. I don't know if people know that,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
it's if you think this is fans. Yeah, I don't want to pay pay-per-view. Like fuck pay-per-view. I don't want to pay $70 for a fight, right?
No, I don't know.
And then a lot of those fans, bro, they also say, "Oh, come on, just give Teofimo Lopez a $2-3 million already extra. Just give it to him." Well, what do you guys think? like this money's going to come from. Like they're in it to make profit. They're not in it like some type of charity or nonprofit organization. You know what I mean? So fans need to be consistent here. Like if you want to pay less, then you cannot be part of the problem. Just saying, "Oh, just give these guys their money."
I know it's just really weird how. I mean, I think what it is that culture of them. Like we've been saying this from Mayweather, the Mayweather culture. You know,
Yeah.
everybody wants to be Mayweather, and you're not Mayweather. Them days are
Right.
over.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
and I, I think this until boxers learn that not right now there will never be another Mayweather. Maybe at the heavyweight department, but not in the welterweights or maybe welterweights, but not in those, not at 135, not at 130, not at one.
Right.
Them days are over.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm being very serious. You can't. There's too much social media going on. You know, anybody can get a following. Anybody can
Right.
take away fan from a different fight for a following. You know, just people who are there's AJ fans who don't want to watch Deontay Wilder because it's not AJ. Instead of everybody wanting to watch everybody.
Yeah. Well, Skinny Kid says, I always tell people you take away the last couple of years of Mayweather, like May Pack or May Connor, boxers make way less if I count for inflation than in the 70s, 80s, and 90s. Yeah. I mean, that's true. Skinny Kid now says, hell yeah, I do that 300K loan. I would make my money back in one fight or maybe two. 10% on the event. I would get 5K on this first fight. Maybe, bro. I don't know. um, and it says, yeah, man, if I'm Kovalev 38 and washed up, I'm in legal troubles. You give me 12 million to take an honorable late dive on the way out of the door. Damn right. I lay right down. Now, even though I don't think he took a dive, I overall agree with the point. If I'm Kovalev at that age, I definitely take that money. I
And
mean, go
D-Style, that
go.
was a suspect. That was a suspect fight. That fight was very suspect.
Think so.
Yes, it just didn't look right.
Well, I mean, I don't know. I just think
I'm not gonna
Kovalev
say
was
it just
washed
didn't.
up.
Kovalev is washed up, but I just
Yeah.
that fight didn't look right. I mean, I'm not gonna. That's all I'm gonna speak on it.
I hear you. I hear you. What's going on, Apple Type?
What's up, guys? How you doing?
Yeah, how's it going? How's it going?
It's going all right. It's going
I see
nice.
you're getting in some beefs. Like you're getting in beefs and all this other stuff. What's going on?
Nah, no beefs for me.
All right,
Other
D-Stars,
pe-
I'm out of here.
Other
All right,
people
man.
want to get in beefs with me, but that's all right. I've been
Well,
around
it
too
is what it
long.
is.
I've
So what's
been
on your
around
mind?
too long. Nothing. I was just listening in on what you guys were talking about with the purses and the inflation and all that stuff. It's
Well,
interesting.
Well, what are your thoughts on the current trend of fighters like doing what they're doing? Like they're just like the
Holding
fights
out.
announced, and then they start holding the whole shit ransom,
Well,
and they kind of know that everyone's gonna look at the promoter and be like, give him his money, I want to see the fight, but like people don't stop and say, oh wait a minute, like you already like agreeing to the fight, like well, why are you suddenly all of a sudden holding everything ransom?
I think
You
you
know?
guys touched on the right point a minute ago when you started bringing up Floyd. Like
Yeah.
everybody's looking at Floyd as like the example, just the same way they did with Ali when he was the
Right.
guy. And they're expecting to get these astronomical paydays before they ever do anything.
Right.
It's funny. Even he didn't really deserve $200 million for that tag game he played with Manny Pacquiao. Okay.
Right.
And also whatever 200
And let me tell you
million he
something, bro.
made.
That was one of the best fencing matches I've ever seen. Like that was high level fencing.
I'm a fencer, so I've seen a lot better fencing matches than that.
A lot more brutal.
You got guys getting whacked with that sword and they get welts on their back. Like no one had any welts after that fight.
Yeah, right.
It was basically, like I'll touch you, then I'll dance around, then you touch me, and the proof of the pudding to me of that fight was that fourth round where Pacquiao had him on the ropes and he threw that combo and he was landing pretty much everything, and Mayweather looked kind of hurt a little bit, and he just backed up and bounced around a little bit, let Mayweather get his breath, and and then continued on with the tag match. However, I don't think people understand economics, like
Yeah.
for the most part, because you could say all day long that Teofimo deserves $10 million for this fight and blah blah blah, but how much is the fight going to generate? That's what they don't think about.
Well, I mean, I don't know if they said 10 million, but
I'm just throwing a number
I got
out
you.
there.
Yeah. But what I'm saying is, look, if if Arum decides out of the kindness of his heart to give Teofimo Lopez another $2 million, which is ridiculous on the surface. You know what I mean? Like, what? Arum ain't gonna do that, But let's say he did, right?
Right.
Oh, he did the right thing, and we're gonna get the fight. Yes, right.
It's good for the fan who wants to see the fight.
Well. Here's what I'll offer.
Okay.
Because then next time we have a fight we really want to see, and a fighter says, well, Arum gave Teofimo $2 million more, so why can he give me $2 million more? It's a lucrative fight too, so I'm going to hold out.
I think it's just a mistake in general. I mean, they shouldn't.
It sets a bad precedent.
When you make a deal, you make a deal. It used to be like there was some honor in making a deal. Like if I make a deal with you today that says we're going to open up a hot dog stand, I'll make $100 for every $200 you make, because you're going to do all the work, and I'm just going to supply the hot dogs, whatever.
Right.
And then 2 years later, it turns into Wiener Schnitzel or whatever, and we've got 1,000 locations, and you're still making double what I'm making, and not really doing anything more than what I'm doing. Then do I go, well, we should renegotiate? No, you have some honor. You're like, well, this was our deal. This is the deal we made, and this is what I'm going to live by. But that doesn't happen anymore. People cry now.
Let's talk about Don King for a little bit, because I think Don King is used as a punching bag for a lot of fans. And I'm not here to tell people Don King was a saint and that he didn't do anything wrong ever. That's not what I'm here for. You know what I mean? However, look, are there cases where you could maybe say, yeah, Don King, fuck that dude over, whatever it is, sure. I mean, what people don't talk about is like all the fighters that Haplotide fell off. I don't know what happened, but all the fighters that do make money, okay, that didn't have any complaints about the deals with Don King. There's plenty of fighters that say, hey, I negotiated a deal. My lawyer was there, and we signed a contract, and everything in that contract, Don King honored. Like he honored every single thing he put in my contract. So,
well, Larry Holmes was always famous for saying,
yeah,
people talk a lot of bad stuff about Don King, but Don King made me a millionaire.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I mean, that's what I'm trying to get at. There's too many fighters that say the following. Like, I never took Don King's word for it. I always got the contract. I got it in writing. We signed it. And if it was in writing and he signed it, he honored it every single time. Okay. It's always the guys that just took his word for it and shook his hand that feel some type of way that Don King didn't fulfill what they believe he should have fulfilled. You know what I mean? And
I'd have to do a more comprehensive study on Don King, but yes.
Well, I mean, we're speaking in generalities here, but
right from what you're saying, yes, I agree.
Right. I mean, but here's what people don't talk about with promoters. People never bring up. Like I remember a couple years ago, we did an interview with Lou DiBella and Robodope Radio, and Lou DiBella talked about it. And I remember resonating with it then and thinking about it. And you know what? This makes a lot of sense. What the fans don't see, bro, is all the fighters that promoters sign that don't pan out, that they lose money on.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's, oh, man. I definitely recognize that. I mean, being in the business that I'm in, half the things that you work on and spend money on, at least, if not more like 75%, end up not panning out.
I mean, look, if you look at Don King, you know, he made his cut, and fighters make their cut, right?
Mm-hmm.
And fighters feel some type of way if they later find out the event did such and such, and Don King took away that much, and they kind of feel like, why didn't I get some of that money? Like, well, why did he take all that money? But what people like, they make it seem like he just pocketed all that money, but what do they think? Like, Don King had to pay Julio Cesar Chavez on the undercard of Don King. You know what I mean?
Of
Like
course.
he had to pay Christy Martin on the undercard. You know, he
Right.
had to pay and he gave us some really good undercards. You know what I mean?
Excellent. Probably
You know,
the best I've seen
he
in my
had to
lifetime.
invest in his company to give us future events. You know what I mean? Like, he had to invest in other fighters he's signing to keep the business you're participating in rolling. You know, and a lot of promoters lose money on a lot of fighters, bro. And this is never talked about. In fact, most fighters, promoters lose money on them until they finally get like a TV deal or something. You know what I mean? And sometimes it takes 2-3 fights to
Dude, not
finally
only
break
that,
even.
bro, but you could lose
Yeah.
money on one of these big events. Like, even you could
Yeah.
lose money on Mayweather Pacquiao.
Right.
You could lose money on anything.
Look, Teofimo Lopez, like, here's the reality. Okay. Top Rank wasn't making money on him for all his fights. You know what I mean?
No,
They're still
it was
looking
an
at finally.
investment.
Yeah, they want to break even at some point, and he's making it very difficult for them to finally make up for the investment to then invest more in him. You know, and I just think, man, do you think, is this an accurate statement? Maybe it's just me, but a lot of fight fans, you know, promoters are just an easy target. Like, if you bash a promoter, you're not going to have a bunch of fanboys come at you like you would with a fighter.
The promoters, you know, they don't do themselves any favors by being so
Right.
shady.
Of course. Yeah. It's a shady business.
And then, you know, when it comes time for something like this, which makes perfect sense if you really think about it, you know, where a promoter's being kind of extorted a little bit,
right?
You know, it makes it easy for the fans to say, like, oh, these fucking promoters, excuse my language, you know, they're so shady, they don't want to pay the fighters, blah 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 blah.
Exactly.
But I think it's a combination of reality of what can really be generated by the event, and then secondly, the promoters giving themselves a bad name by doing shady stuff in the first place. So it makes it real easy for someone to go like, oh, well, he should do this, and he's a shady, you know, shyster, and this and that. And it's true in a way. Yeah, it's true.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because these promoters are shady and they are shysters. But
yeah, but you don't get to mount the top in boxing if you're not
mean
shady.
that if you're making right, exactly. Yeah. That doesn't mean that if an event's only going to bring in $5 million profit, that you can pay someone an extra $2 million. Then all of a sudden, a profitable event becomes, a loss.
Right.
So, I mean,
and I think a lot of fight fans don't think about the consequences of that. Like, no one wants to invest in a sport that doesn't make money.
Right. Okay? And it doesn't make that much money, honestly. I mean, except for the top, you know?
Well, I guess it depends on what that much money is, but
I mean,
like $5 million's a lot to me, but you know.
Yes, it is. And me too. But like, you know, the vast majority of boxing, right, is on the local level, you know.
Right, exactly.
There was a kid in LA that was doing pretty well. He was packing, 5,000-6,000 people into rooms, and he was pretty decent. But how much money are you really making on that event? Because you got to pay for the venue. Okay, that's a few $1,000s. You got to pay for the the ring, the refs, the judges, not the promoter, but the trainers, the cut men, the ambulance that has to sit there all night, and you got 5,000 people who paid $20 a person, right?
I got you.
So, I mean, how much money does an average boxing show really make? Not much. Honestly, it doesn't. And most of boxing is that way. It's very rare that you see a Wilder Fury. You know, like how often do we get something like that? Once every 5
Well, there's
years.
levels to it. I understand that. Like I talked about that earlier, but there used to be a structure to the way boxing ran. You know what I mean? So it used to be like, you fought at the club level, local level, and
Yeah,
then
that's what I'm
and then
saying.
you got on like
I heard that
Televisa,
part.
Telemundo, and then you got on Friday Night Fights, and you got on Boxing After Dark, and like, but that structure is pretty much for the most part
It's
gone.
gone. It's gone.
Yeah,
Now it's all about
the levels. Yeah,
who can we hype up real quick and make a quick buck off this person.
like I'll be honest. Like, okay, let's say PBC, right?
Uh-huh.
Like I'm glad they're on Fox, but like it's not really established, really. Like what fights on Fox are. Like it's not like I'm kind of. It's like random. Like one Fox card will have some prospects, and the other next fight card, on Fox it has like a title fight. Then the next one is like two old washed up dudes, and so it's like not really established. You know what I mean? It's kind of all over the place. It's random. I don't even know which are more prestigious. The ones on Showtime, the ones on FS1, the ones on Fox. Like it's not established.
To me right now, Showtime is the most prestigious because they're the only game left in town in premium. But
but you're
but I
talking
know
about
what you mean. I know what you mean. It's hard for people to discern,
right.
which is which and what's better, especially. And I think
It's
this is
not like it was, bro. Like it's not like what I mean.
I think it's a big reason why they keep creating more and more titles because they always want a title fight on that card.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, and they're watering down the belts, and they probably think that's helping, but it's not. You know what I mean?
It's helping them in the short term, but in the
It
long
is.
term of
It's
the
not.
sport, it's just watering everything down and making people confused.
Yeah.
When you've got, a diamond belt and a silver belt and a this belt and that belt and a, magic carpet belt and all this stuff,
Yep.
like then the fans don't have anything to really follow. It's not like the Super Bowl where the AFC and the NFC champions are going to play each other.
There's no structure, bro. And back to I get why you're saying Showtime. And it used to be like the premium TV fights or the big fights, but there's no real difference right now. There's just
yeah. I mean, it depends on who the fighters are. Like, let's say on Showtime, you've got a card where it's Errol Spence Jr. fighting Danny Garcia. And then on DAZN on the same night, you've got Canelo fighting Better Beef. Like, there's no discernment there. I was like, oh, okay, which one is bigger? Which one? No, it doesn't really matter. It's about the fighters and where they're at. And I think DAZN, despite the fact that I think it's a terrible business model.
It is.
And that they're going to fail eventually, that they spread around enough money to where they can confuse people in that way. Like it used to be like if there's a fight on Showtime or HBO, it used to be like, okay, this is the big fight of the night. And if there was something on, some website, you'd be like, yeah, forget about that. I'm watching this this HBO fight or this Showtime fight,
Yeah, absolutely. Well, man, I'm going to, go ahead and head out of here. I've been on here for about an hour and a half, but.
All right. Well, thanks for having me on, and hopefully we'll do it again soon.
All right, bro. Peace out.
All right. Bye.